Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and welcome to the first video for Romance Month. I'm so freaking excited to get this month started. And what better way to kickstart Romance Month than by doing a top 10 list that many of you have requested me to do. And that is a list of the top 10 cliches in romance anime. Now before we begin this list, I want to share with you guys a little background information about myself, especially if you're new to my channel. And that's the fact that I'm a huge, super mega uber fan of the romance genre of anime, particularly romantic comedy animes. I eat that shit up, guys, and I enjoy it more than any other genre of anime. So as I'm doing this list, I want you to keep in mind that this is coming from somebody that considers himself a devout fan of this genre, because I'm not gonna deny that as much as I love this genre, it is just chock full of so many similar motifs, similar characters, similar setups, similar situations that you see repeatedly over the course of many years that we have come to consider cliches. And now I get to count the top 10 that I have noticed over the years when watching romance animes. Kickstarting our list in a very sexy way at number 10 is beach or pool episodes. In almost any given romance anime, the main characters always partake in an obligatory trip to either a beach or a pool. And most of the time, it doesn't really connect to the main story. Its main purpose is to serve as fan service for the audience, to show girls in skimpy outfits splashing each other and messing around with the main characters and all, and them just having fun mostly. Being the center of attention at number 9 is the average, nice, kinda geeky, and completely oblivious male leads. In almost every single romance anime that I have seen, the male lead always turns out to be this really nice guy who doesn't really have anything special going on with him. He's a bit geeky or a little socially awkward and completely oblivious to the female lead's feelings about him, or any other female for that matter. Now I can name a bunch of romance animes that fall prey to this cliche, but to name a few, you got Amagami SS, Dust Maiden of Amnesia, Love Chunibyo and Other Delusions, F A Tale of Memories, and finally, 1 Week Friends. And honestly, although this is a major cliche in romance anime, again, I don't really have much of a problem with this. I like nice guys in animes, and I'm happy when they actually get with the girl. So, you know, as much as it's a cliche, still really enjoy the cliche. No, it's not what it looks like at number 8. Misunderstandings. There comes a point in many romance animes where the main character gets caught in a predicament that leads to a misunderstanding that causes this whole drama to spiral out of control, and people are either mad or they overreact to the situation. And coincidentally, my number 8 cliche ties in with my number 7 cliche, and that is trip plus falling down equals overreaction. Now you can use many different variables in this equation, but the end result is always the same. The main male character does something by accident, ends up tripping, or ends up doing something that pisses off the main female character. Thus, she then overreacts to the situation. Ken Akamatsu, the creator of Love, Hina, and Negima, is a master at this technique, utilizing it prevalently in his mangas and adaptation of his mangas, where the main male character just happens to trip and go, whoa, whoa, and he lands on the girl like right on top of her, and she, being a tsundere, just overreacts and like beats him up and he sends him flying. Or he'll accidentally walk into a room while the girls are changing just out of coincidence, and then they will be like, you pervert, and they overreact. Sometimes when used properly, it is very funny, but most of the time it just comes off as really forced comedy. Number 6, harems. Just wouldn't be a romantic comedy without them. Am I right? Animes that fall under the harem cliche, once again, Ken Akamatsu delivers, as most of his animes are centered around a harem. Is This a Zombie? This poster behind me also deals with the harem. In fact, even Key is responsible for some of the most famous harems in anime. From Clanad to Shuffle, they have harems in them. And honestly, that's the most straightforward cliche on this list. There's not much more to add. Most romantic comedies have harems in it. But tying in with my number 6 cliche, we got my number 5 cliche, and that's the fact that every girl wants the male lead. In almost every romantic comedy that is centered around a harem, every single member of the harem just has a thing for the main character and doesn't go for any other guys whatsoever. This bothered me in the fact that, you know, there are other guys out there that are interesting, you know, if they actually spend the time to go outside or even develop another male character. I don't like it when a romance anime focuses solely on one guy trying to get with all the girls. I would actually like to see the girls have romances with other guys, you know, their own romance. Why does it have to be with the main guy? It just was so bothersome and extremely cliche. They always go for the main guy. I'm sure Japan has more guys than this average Joe that's really nice. I'm sure there's like a bad boy somewhere, a really intellectual man, a really sophisticated person. Come on, ladies, don't just go for the closest thing near you. Go spread your horizon. Go meet other people. Either that or these girls are just horny as fuck and will jump at any guy near them, which kind of makes sense because most harems take place in high school when, you know, you're dealing with all these new hormones and all that stuff. So it makes sense, but we could just do with less of them from time to time. Diversity, that's what gets you ahead. And once again, tying into my number 6 and my number 5 cliche, we got my number 4 cliche, which is love triangles. Where there is a harem anime and where there is an anime where most of the girls are infatuated with the main male lead, there is going to be a plethora of love triangles. Guaranteed. And honestly, and I sound like a broken record here, I don't really have a major problem with love triangles as long as they're handled in a very interesting or a very comedic way. But in most romance animes, the love triangle just comes off as this really forced melodrama that's thrown into the anime because we gotta add more tension. Oh my god, who's he gonna choose? Oh, they're fighting over him. Oh my god, it's crazy. Stop that shit. Either make it interesting or make it funny, otherwise don't bother putting a love triangle in the anime because it's just gonna come off as really pointless and stupid. And once again, sounding very repetitive like the cliches on this list, my number 4 cliche also ties in with my number 3 cliche. In fact, my number 3 choice is the most unique cliche on this list, but that doesn't change the fact that it's used so abundantly now that it's gotten to the point where it's just dull, generic, and really annoying to see. And that is the whole flat chest versus big bust. In almost every romantic comedy anime, and sometimes in some romance animes, the main male character has to choose between the adult-like big-breasted chick or the childlike flat-chested chick who always turns out to be the tsundere of the anime. The biggest offender of this cliche that comes to mind is without a doubt Baka and Tess, where it's shown prevalently throughout the entire series, where our main character Akihisa Yoshi will point out how Himeji has these big women-like breasts and that Minami has these really small little girl type breasts, and it was funny now and again, but it just got really repetitive afterwards. And speaking of breast sizes, we got my number 2 cliche. And I think you all know what it is by me referring to breast sizes, and that is of course, tsunderes. Almost every romance anime that I have seen has had a tsundere in it. I can't even, right at this moment, I can't even think of a romance anime that I have seen that doesn't have a tsundere character. And even if they didn't, one character will display tsundere-like characteristics or has a tsundere-like personality, but might not be considered a full tsundere. But they are just prevalent, especially in romantic comedy animes. And to name all of the tsunderes that I know, I mean, we'll be here forever. Forever. There are just too many to name. Not only that, I hate that in most romantic comedy animes, and sometimes even in most romance animes, the main character ends up with the tsundere. I mean, almost like 7 times out of 10, he will end up with the tsundere character of the anime. And I'm like, why? There's that girl, and that girl, she's more interesting than her. Why would you go with the tsundere? Such a cop-out. That in itself is a cliche. Hell, you could make a whole another top 10 list on cliches with tsundere characters. That's how cliche tsunderes are in romance animes. But I bet a lot of you are shocked not to see tsunderes at the number 1 spot. And that's because there is another cliche. in romance animes that not only are just really annoying, but I fucking hate them. These are the worst cliches to have in a romance animes. I cannot stand this cliche, and that is melodramatic endings. Every romance anime, except for one, there was one that didn't have it. It was Oh My Goddess. It actually ended on a really comedic note, and I loved it. It bucked the trend because almost every romance anime at that point, and from beyond that point too, always ended on a melodramatic note. Like something just over the top happens or characters become really sad, and I hate it when it's like romantic comedy animes that have been relatively funny and enjoyable and lively automatically just turn really dark and somber and sad. It really kills the mood of the anime. You're like, man, I was having so much fun, then that happened, and I don't really want to watch this anymore. It is the only cliche on this list that I absolutely cannot stand. I want it gone. I don't want to see it anymore in romance animes, especially my romantic comedies. Keep that shit out of the romantic comedies. And on a much lighter note, why does it have to end in such a melodramatic fashion? That was a tirade if ever there was one. And that's why melodramatic endings are the #1 cliches in romance animes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my list of the top 10 cliches in romance anime. And I would like to know what you guys thought about my list. Did you agree with it? Did you disagree with it? Did you feel like I left any cliches out? Because I'm pretty sure that I did. And let me know, what is a cliche that you see a lot in romance anime that you just cannot stand anymore and you want it to just go away forever? Comment below and let me know. And Romance Month, guys, is off to a great start. I'm so excited. I cannot wait for you guys to see all the great videos that will be coming your way. And as always, if you would like to see more awesome Romance Month videos and be a part of the Black Critic crew, please hit that subscribe button below. Like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm telling you all in a second, the Master of Love and also the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.